So this is interesting stuff we're getting into today, huh? Like, spiritual awakening, right? People searching for enlightenment. It's a journey, but the paths people take, they're all over the place.
It's true. And the thing is, so many people are drawn to this idea of transformation, but the way they go about it, totally different. And you sent us these two figures, Osho and Sadhguru.
And they really are like polar opposites, aren't they?
Yeah, you could say that, almost like two ends of the spectrum. I mean, you've got Osho, who just, I don't know, seemed to thrive on shaking things up, like every convention, every norm.
Yeah, and you know, the sex guru isn't exactly a title you'd picture with a spiritual leader, right? Especially back then, mid-20th century India, that says something right there about how he just went for it, those taboos.
Totally. But it wasn't just, about sex. Osho challenged, well, pretty much everything. Deeply rooted societal norms, the whole 9 yards. He wanted people to question, like, literally everything. Traditions, religion, even their own sense of self.
And wow, you can imagine how that went over. Lots of ruffled feathers, to say the least.
Definitely ruffled some feathers. But, Osho never wanted to shy away from a little controversy, right? If anything, it seemed to fuel him.
It's true. I mean, think about that commune he established in Oregon. Talk about a bold move.
Right. It's like he was trying to create this living experiment, almost like a counterculture society, a place where his ideas, radical as they were, could actually take root.
Yeah, it was a fascinating thing. Didn't last, of course, but still. So he encouraged people to just dismantle everything, those structures they held on to, the very things he believed were holding them back from true freedom, inner freedom.
Okay, so that's pretty intense when you think about it. Like, what exactly did he mean by inner freedom? Was he saying, like, throw out all the rules,
Yeah.
all structure?
It was definitely about breaking out of your comfort zone, that's for sure. But there was a method to it, a very deliberate method.
Okay, so, like, what kind of method are we talking about here?
So think about dynamic meditation. Osho developed this. And it wasn't your typical meditation, not at all. It was intense. I'm talking physical release, chaotic breathing, even shouting. It was about shaking up your entire system.
Wow. So not exactly a quiet retreat kind of thing.
Yeah.
Nope, not at all. The goal wasn't to quiet the mind. It was about breaking free from it, from the ego, as he called it.
Okay, so that's Osho. Explosive, intense. So how does someone like Sadhguru fit into all of this? He seems to be coming at this from, like, the opposite direction.
Totally. It's a completely different approach. If Osho was about tearing down the existing structure, Sadhguru is all about working within it, integrating ancient wisdom into modern life, like making it practical.
Yeah, and it's not just meditation retreats and things like that. This is a guy who works with CEOs, politicians. You wouldn't necessarily put those worlds together.
And that's Sadhguru's whole point, right?
Yeah.
He's showing that spirituality isn't about escaping the world. It's about transforming ourselves from within.
Right.
His teachings, they're all about practical techniques, specific yoga practices, mindfulness exercises, things you can actually use in daily life.
So I guess what you're saying is Osho might tell you to, like, scream your way to liberation, while Sadhguru would be more about finding those moments of stillness in the middle of, well, the chaos of everyday life.
Exactly. It's about realizing that when it comes to this kind of transformation, there's no one right way to do it.
So that brings up an interesting question, doesn't it? Like, if someone's drawn to both of these guys, Osho's call for radical change and Sadhguru's grounded approach, does that mean they have to pick a side?
It's not really about choosing one or the other. It's more about, I think, seeing the nuances within each of their approaches.
Okay, yeah, because on the surface, they do seem pretty opposed.
They do. But they might actually complement each other more than you think.
Okay, so how does that work? How could Osho's whole, like, tear it all down philosophy possibly fit with Sadhguru's focus on integrating spirituality into the very structures Osho seemed to reject?
Well, you got to look at the why.
Yeah.
Why were they teaching what they taught? Osho, he wasn't just advocating anarchy for the heck of it.
Right.
When he said dismantle structures, he was mainly talking about the internal stuff, the limiting beliefs we carry around, conditioned responses, the ego itself.
So less about literally burning it all down, more about breaking free from those internal cages we build for ourselves.
Exactly. And that's actually where Sadhguru's teachings can come in. Once you've started to question those limiting beliefs, to challenge the status quo within yourself, That's when you can rebuild.
Mm.
Integrate those insights into a more authentic way of living,
So maybe it's not choosing sides, but seeing these two approaches as different stages of a larger process. First, you've got the dismantling phase, that radical questioning that Osho was all about, and then a rebuilding phase where you take those insights and actually build a life with them, which is more Sadhguru's message.
Yeah, it's like you have to clear out the debris before you can lay a new foundation.
Right.
And that clearing out process,
Yeah.
that could be messy,
Yeah.
uncomfortable, even chaotic. Kind of like Osho's style, actually.
It makes you wonder if you need both of those energies within you, huh? That inner rebel, the one who questions everything, and that grounded sage who can actually take those insights and make something real with them.
It's an interesting thought. And it's worth pointing out that both Osho and Sadhguru, as different as they were, they both emphasized experiencing life fully, authentically, without holding back. They both saw through those limitations that society puts on us, even if they approached it in totally different ways.
That's a good point. But we can't ignore the criticisms, right? Especially with Osho.
Yeah, there were some serious accusations against him. His views on sexual liberation, for one, his lifestyle. And then there were the things that went down at that Oregon commune, allegations of criminal activity. Some people say he was leading a cult, exploiting his followers. It's a part of his story that you just can't ignore.
And Sadhguru's had his share of criticism, too. Some people wonder if his organization has become, well, too commercialized, like maybe diluting his message to try to appeal to more people.
Right, it's a valid concern. When spirituality becomes a business, it's tricky. Always a risk of losing sight of what really matters.
Yeah, it's like, how do you walk that line,
Yeah,
Sharing those big, profound ideas, but without, losing that genuineness.
it's tough for sure. And it really highlights, how important it is to be discerning, both for the teacher and the student, really.
So, okay, where does this leave us, the listener, I mean? How do you even start to make sense of all this? All these different paths, these contrasting approaches. How do you know what's right for you?
I think it goes back to what we were talking about before, that why. What are you really looking for from all this, from exploring spirituality? What feels off in your life? What needs to change?
Because maybe it's not even about, finding the perfect teacher or anything, or even, picking one philosophy and sticking to it. Maybe it's more about putting together your own path as you go, based on, what you learn, how it feels.
Exactly. It's about being willing to experiment, try different practices, sit with the discomfort of, really questioning what you believe. Sometimes it's about realizing that what you needed at one point in your life, it might not be what you need now. Things change.
So it's a process. It's constantly evolving, this back and forth between challenging yourself and then taking those lessons and making them a part of who you are in a real way.
That's it. And, who knows? Maybe it's by embracing both sides, that rebellious spirit of Osho and that grounded wisdom of Sadhguru. Maybe that's how we each find our own way, our own unique path to actually transform.
It's like, what is it they say? Combining fire and water, the chaos and the stillness, to create something totally new.
Now there's an image.
Right. And isn't that what it's all about anyway, that transformation? So, hey, listener, wherever you're at on your own journey, remember, there's no one way to do this. No right or wrong. Just keep exploring, keep questioning, and hey, most importantly, listen to that voice inside you, the one that's always guiding you towards your own truth.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
That's what we're here for, to explore these ideas right. So, until next time, keep diving deep.